Hi everyone, welcome back. I hope y'all are doing well. Excuse the glare. We're going to be making a card, hopefully. I am slightly stressed about this card. I don't know why. I've made a lot of cards before, but ever since I suggested that we try to make 365 cards, I have been on edge. I got this from Tuesday morning. It says 2019. Um, I don't recall if that's the actual time or not. Let me pop this little thing real quick. I've never used, let me word this properly. I have always seen a lot of people use tonic or do the tonic mystery things, and I've never understood how they have access to knowing that a mystery bundle is coming out. I've always been very fond of trying to do that, but I haven't really invested a lot of time in it. So these are from the tonic stamps and dies that I do have are from when I was able to get them at Tuesday morning. All right, so I want to make a birthday card, but I don't know. I am slightly nervous, okay? I am way more nervous than I should be about making this particular card because I'm stressed about the card. This stamp in particular. These stamps. I am so much more comfortable with the Julie Nutting stamps than other lady stamps. Julie Nutting and I would say Unity stamp because I've used those before. So I have a better understanding of how they work, I think is why I'm more comfortable with them. All right, there we go. Gonna color her up real quick and we'll work on the rest. We're using our color pencils again. I do love faceless human figures because you could do just about anything with them. So that was butterscotch. This is deep magenta, and this is dark orchid. Okay, so I'm gonna try to color the parts that I think would be lighter. Lighter. I am doing this particular craft out of order because I decided to clean up a little bit today. So it's later in my normal crafty time than normal crafty time. And I've been having rough sleep lately. Of course, it's just nerves. Just that I got rained on just a little bit, just a scotch of rain happened, and was very interesting. The turn of events. We went to the grocery store, and my son was like, "It looks like Mother Nature's opening up something." He kept saying. I was like, "It's not raining yet. Like it's just heavy winds." And then all of a sudden, you can see the big globs. I said, "Oh yeah, you were right. It is raining." He probably was like, "I told you that." He didn't say it, but he probably was thinking, "I told you, mommy, it was raining." So we I feel like if you've ever worn a big puffy dress, you know that underneath the dress you have layers of material to make it poof. And I feel like the material would be lighter than the actual dress. I would think. You know the worst part about getting organized is getting organized. Mm-mm-mm. You know, you got to take the step to say, I'm going to get organized. And then you got to figure out the organization style that you want to use. For example, if you want to use containers to put your stuff in, you have to figure out that container system. Then you have to see if you have enough storage, and then you have to go buy stuff if that's the case. When I was in college, I had to take a psychology class. And one of the things that our psychology teacher wanted us to do, I know a lot of people don't like self help books, but she wanted us to read a self help book. You know what? When I was in psychology, this lady used to cheat in the class. And I had saw her cheating. I was like, no wonder she's so smart. She was cheating. Here I am failing, barely passing because I wasn't applying myself like I should have been. And she cheating. I think the teacher caught on, or maybe someone told on her. It wasn't me. Um, because she started walking around the classroom doing tests. I was like, hmm, imagine that. So yeah, it was a self-help book, and it was talking about clutter and cleaning up and all of that stuff. And the person wrote a number one way to not have clutter. Not number one, but one of the ways to not have clutter is not to have storage. If you don't have anything to store the stuff in, that means you can't keep it. You have to get rid of it. I've also read in books before when you buy a new shirt, it says get rid of two shirts or two articles of clothing. If you buy a new pair of pants, then it says to get rid of two articles of clothing. I was watching this lady on here when she was talking about d- throwing away stuff, and people in her comment section complaining about her throwing away good art work and things like that. And she was like, first of all, I feel like she was like, this is my stuff. I can do what I want with it. Second of all, she was like, I didn't throw it away. Not all of it. Some of it was trash. She said, but I donated some or I gave some away to people. I think sometimes in general, we probably just get upset so much when people are discarding quote unquote useful things to us, but they may not be useful to that person anymore. And I think we get upset about that, which is very weird in general because it's your junk, not our junk to be upset with, right? I feel like these pencils would be good if I had another technique to apply to give them more bold and vivid colors because I feel like that's what it's calling for. But I'm able to press down fairly hard. You could tell the difference, right? So if you decide to get these particular color pencils, that's something to keep in mind. That they do go on fairly nice, but if you want them to have a different color, you definitely should press down a little bit harder. And as you all know, I always try to apply not a heavy hand the first go around, and then I want to come back in and give it a good pressing. I really wish that I could find, well, I've seen people that, and when I say find like a good tutorial that I could probably watch a few 20,000 times, I've seen where people take these and they make them fluffy. I think we may, um, I think well, I not think, I know how to get it fluffy, right? You just cut it out and then you layer it on top, and then you probably put foam tape underneath it to give it that fluff that it might require. But in general, I looked up I tried to look up these stamps on Pinterest to see just to see how other people had did it. I didn't find anything that was worth me trying to case. So just going with what I like, what I want to do, what I'm going with the motion of how I'm feeling currently. And these purples spoke to me, even though I was going for pink. But those color pencils don't have a lot of pinks in them, which is good because I don't really care for pink. But when you want to use a color, you don't care for it. It's so hard. Like when I've been doing um, not this year, but in the past, the jewelry making fun collab. Like I'm not a big red crafter, right? You all know that I don't use a lot of. You probably have noticed I'm not a big fan of red, except for Christmas time. But you can't use paper for beads, like unless you made some beads out of paper. And I haven't done that yet. So I'm like, oh, I need red, and I don't have like a lot of orange, and I may have red, but I don't have shades of red. So I'm like, I'm always like, I need this color. And then there's a red sitting in the corner, like, wait until she looks over here and sees me. I'll be used. And that's usually how it is. All right. So now we're going to fussy cut this out. I'm going to use this paper pad. I thought it looked very happy, girly, etc., etc., etc. But then when I went in there to find the images that I thought would represent what I wanted it to represent, guess what? Uh, no, I did not find what I was looking for. But I got this from Tuesday morning. Looks like this. And I got this from Tuesday morning a while back. And I'm using this one. So, yeah, a lot of people, when this first came out, um, a lot of people were going and getting them. I think they had them at Joann Fabric a while back. And everyone was like, "Oh, I'm getting Shamil, blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Oh, who is she?" Anyway, we're gonna cut this down to 5.5, a little bit under 5.5, and this is gonna be 4.25, just short of 4.25. All right. Now we have to decide. So this is the back. This is really the front, but anyway, I feel like this looks really pretty. Oh, come on, focus camera. There we go. Now this is the issue. Hear me out. I want to put some balloons on there. And I have these right here. And I also have these. And I'm thinking that I could probably stamp these out a few times in the background, right? And just cut them out. So cut out like 2 or 3 bundles of balloons. Now, if you have a die or a punch, that would be better. But I felt like this looks very glamorous party-ish, right? I think we can get two stamps, two inked up punch, not punches. Yeah, yeah. All right. We just color it up. Bright, pretty colors. I always grab those markers. These markers run on this, even though it says, well, I don't know. I don't know if pigment ink will run. I think it does. But I know some of the, what I'm saying is some of the other ones are like um, no smudging, no smearing, and they do smudge and they do smear. These markers are on their last leg. Last leg. I've had them for a while. I know I keep saying that. And it's like I feel like I'm defending that they're drying out, but I'm not. Isn't that weird? I keep saying that they're on their last leg. And I told you all in a video, I don't know how long ago, I haven't been buying a lot of new markers like this. I've bought acrylic markers, but no new um like discount markers. I have purchased a few and I never got to use them yet. So the ones that you'll see me use it if and when the time comes are older markers because I've been telling myself just use what you got and then replace them with these, right? Or the Ohuhu. And right now, I'm not really advocating Ohuhu marker. So I'm hoping these will go on sale if someone's doing a D-stash. I can find some on one of the get rid of apps, you know. Because the one thing I haven't noticed that people on TikTok are doing is coloring with those Copic markers. They're kind of just sticking to the Ohuhu, which again drives the demand up, decreases the supply, makes the manufacturer think that they have a great product, and then the consumers are kind of like, hey, I want this product. I can't get this product. Why can't I have this product? It's a weird, weird situation. I was trying to avoid using blue, y'all. Let me tell you why. I always use blue. So I was like, you know what? We're not gonna fall for this stereotypical left-handed crafter nonsense, which is always using blue. This is not blue. It's water blue. This is not water blue. I don't know. I've told y'all that before. If your water is coming out your sink blue, it's a problem. It's a problem. I get what they're doing, but yeah. So how have you been? What have you been up to? How's your August going? I went to the mall August 2nd. I went to the mall. I had ordered my son's school backpack from Macy's. And he and I had been going back and forth about school supplies. And he's been kind of not wanting to get stuff. I don't know why. He's apprehensive. I think I've told y'all that I've considered moving him from his school that he's been going to the last, all his elementary school life. Um, just waiting to hear word as of making of this video. I don't know. This video will be posted sometime in August, but um, nonetheless, we went to the mall. It was so packed. It was so packed, and it's a really it's the most expensive mall in this area, right? So we went to the mall, and I was looking for a parking spot, and then guess who had to use the restroom? I did. I had to use the restroom. So not only am I looking for a parking spot to get into the mall to use the restroom, I'm forced to try and hold it together because I'm looking for a parking spot to get in the mall to use the restroom, right? So this is the part that bugs me. People here where I live are very I'm better than you kind of thing in certain areas, okay? I'm okay with that. I understand how this works. It's not my first rodeo in the areas that people feel a little bit more uppity than they probably should until they get put in their place and then they're like, you know, pearls are clutched or whatever. So, um, I tell my son, I said, listen, when we find this parking spot, mommy has to use the restroom, okay? So now I know the food court usually has a large amount of restrooms in it, right? We've been to this mall before. He probably doesn't remember. We've been to that mall before, and I used to go to the mall when I before I had him with coworkers and stuff. We would go. They had the Tavana tea spot was in there. Oh, they don't have it anymore. But anyway, so I had told him. I said, stay with me. It's busy, and it's unusually busy because it's back to school and all the teenagers and the kids. When I was growing up, I would go to the mall. The mall was the place to be when I was growing up at a certain time, especially back to school time. You get to see all the new fashions, all the cute guys, all the cute girls, etc., etc., etc. Right? So I tell him, I say, stay with mommy. Don't come in here doing your no more jumping around, all the stuff that he normally does, because I don't want to have to use the restroom on myself, and I don't want to have to turn into some psychotic mother because someone has grabbed her kid and now they're gone. In this area, it was this lady who was attempting to kidnap a lot of kids in the last couple of years. And, he doesn't need to know that because I don't want him to be worried. But I just say, people do bad stuff. We just need to be mindful, be aware of that, and things like that, right? I always try not to worry him too much, but I always tell him to be careful, be aware, stay with me, hold my hand or whatever. So we're bobbing and weaving through the traffic of the mall, and people are there leisurely walking around, and I have to use the restroom. And I'm not sure if you've ever had to use the restroom that if you cough or something, you may actually use the restroom on yourself. But that's where I'm at, okay? So I have to use the restroom. And I'm holding the little bit of ab muscles that I have together to try to make sure I don't use the restroom on myself. Because I tell them, I said, if I use the restroom on myself, we're going home. Ain't no walking around, blah, 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 blah. Because I have already. He said, will you be embarrassed? I said, no, but we're going to go home. He's like, okay. So we go to full court. Line is out of the door. Out of the door. I said, you know what? I should, in my head, I should have just went to Macy's because I know that Macy's has a restroom inside of it. A few of the department stores actually have restrooms inside of it. So we're on the first floor. We go to the second floor to get to the food court restroom. We have to go back down the escalator, hook a right to get to Macy's. Now Macy's, is a double layer. I think they may even have three layers. I'm not sure. So I go in there and I ask the first employee. I said, "Excuse me, where's your restroom?" She said, "Go up the escalator, take a left, and it's right. It's there." So I get off the escalator, I hook a left, and I'm headed that way. So I see another person, and I said, "Excuse me, where's your restroom?" Because people tell you the wrong direction for whatever reason. She said, "It's all the way to the right on the wall." I said, "Ain't this better?" Right? Because now we have to turn around and go the other way. So, I think we need like two more bundles of balloons. So let's do that real quick. Um, so we turn around. Everybody sounds like, "Why did she tell us the wrong way, mommy?" I said, maybe she didn't understand me. I don't know. So I turn. We go. I see another lady just to secure that we're going the right spot. She said, "It's all the way against the wall on the right." When I tell you, I felt like we had walked miles in Macy's. So we get in there, and guess what? It's a line in daggone Macy's to use the restroom. So we get in there, and it's like eight ladies ahead of me. And in my head, I'm counting. It's like eight. Okay. Okay. Now, mind you, Macy has four restrooms in it. One, two, maybe five. But as one lady comes out the restroom, another lady goes into that restroom, right? So there's no time to really go in there and poop, okay? Because there's too many people in there. But people are in there taking a long time, is all I'm saying. A long time. So I can't believe I'm telling y'all this story. But anyway, so we go in there, and my son is kind of, fidgety or whatever. I said, just sit down in this chair. Because, Macy's is fancy. They have a seating area that you can sit down. So once he sits down, two or three ladies go. And then one of the ladies like, "Is it anybody in the handicap restroom?" Like she's talking to the lady that she's with, and they're speaking Spanish. And so she was like, "Go check." So she goes and checks, and lo and behold, we have been omitting using one restroom. So she goes and she tells the lady that she's with, which is older than her. She's like, "Go use this one." And the lady's like, "Okay." No, she was like, "No, go," because another lady had came out of another restroom, and that leaves me next. It's one lady ahead of me, and then it's me. And I tell my son, "Come on, get up," because I'm not going to go in the restroom where I can't see him, basically. So anyway, he gets up and he goes, you know, and he knows our routine of how we use the restroom. And I was like, "Do you have to use the restroom?" He's like, "No." I said, "Okay." So we go, we get the restroom situated. Then we go, and I'm like, "Okay." I asked another employee, I said, "Where is the pickup for that?" She tells me, she says, "Downstairs, make a left, then make a right." She said, "So it's left, right, okay? Down, left, right." I said, "Okay." So I go downstairs, I make a left, and then I make a right. And would you not believe it's a line there? And then there's two DoorDash guys there. And I'm like, DoorDash? I'm thinking he's delivering food, but I did not know DoorDash went to Macy's. That's a bit much, if you ask me. No one did, but I'm saying that's a bit much. And so the man's like, "Here, I'm here for DoorDash." She's like, "You got to get in line, just like everybody else." He's like, "But I'm on the clock, like I'm on the time." She's like, "You got to get in line." And the man behind me is like, "I'm DoorDash too, and I'm in line." I said, "But do you think you really should have to wait?" That's my question. Like, do you really think you need to be waiting? And he just kind of looks at me like, "Girl, get out of here." I guess if everybody was doing DoorDash, they would be cutting the line and people be upset. I don't know. This marker is dry, 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 dry. I guess I use a lot of green, huh? Don't answer that. Anyway, needless to say, we got the backpack. He likes it. I'm happy that he likes it. And then he's like, "Oh, it's a problem with this backpack." And I'm like, "What's the problem?" He said, "People can drop my food." So the backpack has a little snap on it that you can snap to attach the lunchbox to it. And he's like, "People can knock my lunchbox off." I said, I said, "You don't have to attach it. Just when you go to school, put it on there. When you get out the car, take it off. And in the afternoon, when you're waiting to be picked up, put it on there." He's like, "Okay." I'm like, "Lord have mercy. Are we really that in this day and age where kids are doing that?" Yeah, I guess so. Because he's worried about somebody snapping his daggone lunchbox off his backpack. And I was like, "Were they doing it at the other school?" And he didn't answer me because he knows that would have upset me. So he's like, I'm not telling this woman nothing. Because he's nice until he's not nice, right? Like I think all kids are like that. Well, no, that's a lie. He's nice until he is not nice. Especially at school, I think he lets people push him over, like take advantage of his kindness. And I am not here for that at all. I'm like, if someone does, the whole, if someone talks to you mean, let the teacher know. If someone hits you, let the teacher know. Then you tell me. And then, if it keeps going, you sock them back, right? And he's like, no, mommy, I can't do that. Okay. Now, I never had to worry about that because my mom was crazy, right? And people knew my family and they knew that my mom didn't play. Okay. So I never had to worry about somebody um, being mean to me. But people don't know my level of crazy yet. And so I feel like it may come a time when that level is going to have to come out because he doesn't seem to think that when I tell him certain things, it's okay to sock somebody back after a while and they've been doing you a certain kind of way. This is not what I'm looking for. So let's go ahead and erase this. This is a color pencil after all. But I do not condone, just being mean to people to be mean to people. So, I've told him before if someone is mean to you or whatever, like if someone says something you don't like, I always say just say thank you and have a good day. Like you can do that. Thank you so much. Have a good day. And he hasn't gotten to the point where like older people are like, God bless you. You don't like me? God bless you too. Uh, whereas older people kind of like, I hope you have a wonderful day. And the person's looking at you like, did you just curse me out kindly? Because that's what telling someone to have a good day is when they've been mean to you, right? If you didn't know that, I'm telling you. Someone says, I hope you have a good day. You were mean to them. And you have to figure that out. But in general, it is something that he and I have to work on about not letting people take advantage of him. He has a little friend that they were bickering at the end of the last school year, at the end of third grade, I should say. And he's like, "Oh, I want to be friends," blah blah blah. And this is my thing. I told him, I said, "You know what? Not once has this little boy conveyed to you that he wanted to hang out with you." I said, "Why didn't he ask you to do a play date with him or something?" My son says that this kid told him, "I've been too busy playing video games." Mm. And I told my son, I said, "Is that a good friend?" And my son sits there and he's like, "No, I should unfriend him, mommy." I said, "No, you don't have to unfriend him. Just be mindful that maybe this isn't the kind of person you want to be calling your friend." He's like, "Okay, I'm going to go play with him now, okay? Bye." Bye, my child. Go ahead and go play the video game with the little kid. Whereas I've been a mom, it's a friend group, mom group, and one of our friends is like, "Hey, anyone want to play with me? Anyone want to hang out?" And I'm like, I told her, I said, I don't mind doing that. It just needs to be somewhere where it's not hot outside because it's too hot to be, like at a park or something. It's just too hot. This is the same color. You saw that and you see what happened? Mm-mm-mm. These nibs are destroying my creation. Have you ever seen Nobody? It's a movie called Nobody. I have never seen it. I saw a preview for Nobody 2, And I was like, well, who is Nobody One? So I watched a little tiny clip from YouTube and I was like, oh, this is interesting. So it's kind of like an action film. You know what it reminds me of? It's an older movie, True Lies, with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jamie Lee Curtis. That's what it reminded me of because Jamie Lee Curtis thinks that Arnold Schwarzenegger is like this boring guy at some company and he's out there saving the world. So just the unexpectedness of watching this man do certain things is cool to me. Do I think I'm going to go to the movies and see two? No, because you know what? I haven't seen one yet. So there's that. All right, so this part might be a bit much what we're getting ready to do, but we're going to do it anyway. I'm more concerned about the strings than the actual balloon itself. All right, so now let's go ahead and place these balloons to the attached string. So one, two, three, four, five, and our lovely lady. All right, so let's go ahead and glue all this down. All right, so now got it all glued down. We're gonna cut these little balloons off in a minute. I've used some foam tape. Now we're gonna go over here, like that. And we'll do this one. Nope. All right. All right. Now Miss Lady, I think we're gonna raise her up too. I could, but I'm not gonna re-stamp her. My worry is almost done. I still have one thing to do, but after that, my worry will be over for this particular card. Remember I told you that at the very beginning? I know this has been a long road, but We're almost done. I just need to stamp out a sentiment for birthday. Okay. All right, so birthday sentiments. I think I just like this happy birthday. Let's see. Because this one says officially old. These things peeling off like photopolymer, but it's an acrylic stamp. I'm like, oh boy. Happy birthday, right? Let's see. It's not gonna fit. So we need to find something else. I haven't used this thing in forever. It's been sitting there patiently waiting, though. Patiently waiting. Oh, that's cutting it close. Ooh, let's see. And now that we've done all that paper piecing on the front, let's not even use that. You know what? We're going to do it anyway. We're going to do it anyway. All right. Hands, don't fail me. We got two sides to make this right. Let's try it on the first go, okay? Good. Yeah? Good, good, good. Mm-hmm. All right. You were holding your breath? Because I definitely was. Came out pretty good, I think. And we're going to use this pink. What is going on? What is going on? I don't know. Oh, excuse. Oh, excuse the camera shake. Alrighty. Let's see if I can make this better. Yep. We could fix a little bit of these mistakes I made. Go ahead and put this on the inside of this card and call it a day. All right, this is our finished card. Happy birthday. I like it. I hope that you like it as well. We used a lot of different things. Took us a long time to get here. But anyway, this is card number 1 out of 365 cards. So yeah, I want to say thank you for watching. Until next time, happy crafting.